This week on Chuckload of Comics, we're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Full movie review from a very special location, right here, Chuckload of Comics. Hey guys, welcome to Chuckload of Comics. This week we're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. We're doing a movie review. With me today is a very special friend of mine, Mr. Antonio Medina. How's it going, Tony?
It's going all right.
Thanks for being here with us.
Be here. Thanks.
This is awesome. Tony invited us to his house. This is Tony's Bat Cave, his man cave a la Chicago, and it's badass. I'll show you some photos of this killer room. He's got all kinds of amazing memorabilia in here. A wicked cool toy collection, tons of cool stuff. So what better place to come and talk about Spider-Man, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Great.
Movie was so good. I love the movie. So there's my review for you right there. Thanks for watching, but maybe we should talk a little bit more. Tony, okay, based solely on the movie trailer, do you think, did Spider-Man Homecoming, just based on the trailer, did the movie meet your expectations, exceed your expectations, or kind of fall flat?
I think the movie really exceeded my expectations. Based on the trailers that I was watching, I thought it was going to be a great movie, but I wasn't really completely sold. I kept telling myself, I'm going to have to just see the whole movie to make a decision because it was really hard to tell from the trailers.
Yeah.
Later on, right before the movie came out, the trailers that they started showing us a lot more. And I did get more excited, but then I felt like I was seeing too much.
Yeah.
Trailers were okay. The movie, excellent movie. Just amazing movie.
It was freaking awesome. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the fact that, I don't know, these days, of course, they have a tendency to show you the whole movie in the trailer, and I kind of thought that's what they were doing with these trailers. It was all Iron Man. It was like, okay, this is going to be the Iron Man movie. We've seen the ferry scene, you know, when the ferry gets split in half by Vulture, and you thought, you know, that's going to be your big finale. But man, this movie had so much more to it. There were layers and layers and layers of this flick. Tons of scenes that weren't in the trailer. And that's what I liked most about it. It was so well paced. The movie never had a lull. It never got dull and boring. You know, a lot of movies, it's like highs and lows. This was just maintaining a steady stream of kind of pretty awesome the entire time.
It just kept building.
Yeah.
Kept building up.
Yeah.
The trailers, the boat scene, that was just a precursor to this whole movie that it just kept building up to.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, I mean, right off from the very start of the film, you know, you see, probably one of my favorite parts of the movie was right at the beginning when they do the Civil War video diary,
yeah,
which was freaking genius. I thought that was awesome. Actually, no, before that, the very beginning of the movie, one of my other favorite, I got a lot of favorite parts of this film, but right at the top, right at the beginning when they're talking about they show Grand Central Station right after the big Chitauri War from the first Avengers movie, and you see the big Chitauri whale
great scene.
Laying there. He had just crashed through Grand Central Station, and the cleanup crew, who has Adrian Toomes in it, who becomes the Vulture later in the film. You see him, you get his origin story in the first 3 minutes of the flick.
And it connects you right into the rest of the movie. That scene alone brought me right back to, you know, Hulk punching Thor.
Exactly.
You know, it's perfect connection, seamless, just brings you right into the next scene of the movie that includes Spider-Man.
That was genius. I like how Marvel's just kind of tying in all their movies. Yeah, it's like, and if you didn't see Civil War, it didn't really ruin Civil War. If you didn't see the Avengers, which I'm sure you did, it doesn't ruin the film for you. But there's so much fan service for fans of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they listened to what people were saying, and either complaining about or excited about, and going right back to you'll be talking about how Spider-Man's videotaping, documenting this whole thing.
Yep.
People were talking about this. They were, you know. They saw the trailer of him watching the thing in class, and they're like, who taped that? Yeah. Now we know who taped it. He taped it. It was a teenager documenting his experience. It's perfect.
He's a kid. He's a product of social media. He's gonna videotape everything he does. He's gonna, like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him in his whole life. I'm with Captain America. I'm gonna videotape this entire thing. And that's what he does. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie, this is kind of a spoilery review. So before we get into the rest of this stuff, it is a spoilery review. Yeah, that was an amazing part of the film. The movie was just non-stop great scenes. I mean, that's the start of it. That's just like the first 10 minutes of the film, and you're already hooked. You're like, it's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
His friend Ned was great. Just that, what I love about this movie is the whole high school aspect. Now, I knew going into it that I would love the high school aspect. My favorite, I don't know about you, my favorite run of Spider-Man is the Ultimate Spider-Man, the Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Bagley Ultimate Spider-Man, like when Marvel kind of rewrote the whole, they gave everybody an origin story, like we're gonna make this whole new unlimited, Marvel, what the fuck's that? Ultimate Universe. They're making an Ultimate Universe and everybody gets to start over, and they were all cool, but the coolest one was the Spider-Man run because it was like a teen drama. That whole run was like a high school soap opera, and that's exactly what you got in this movie. I knew it would be based in high school, but I didn't know how cool that would be until I saw it on screen. I don't know, your thoughts about the high school thing. Did you dig the...
I thought it was cool because it kind of, you know, we didn't get an origin movie here. You know, they skipped the origin part, but we still kind of got it. You know, they gave us little bits and pieces of it. They didn't show a lot of it.
Yeah.
But we as viewers were able to understand what was going on. And you got to see him as a young teenager discovering himself as a superhero. That's still an origin story, but it's a creative way to show it.
And I like that, like you talk about origin stories, and we didn't have to watch Uncle Ben get shot again. Now some people don't like that. I kind of like that they skipped over that part. It's like, that's my big complaint with Batman movies. Every time they make a Batman movie, you are forced to watch Bruce Wayne's parents get shot in an alley after walking out of the Zorro movie, and it's like, okay, we've seen this 100 times. We know it.
Right.
This movie, it's like, you know what? You know the whole great power, great responsibility thing. I don't even think they said that once in the whole flick.
This whole spider scene, you know, him getting
bit by the spider. They didn't do any of that stuff, and that's awesome. This was the movie. It's like Marvel said, you know what? We've done this to death. We've done it in comics. We've done it in every single movie we've done. We've rehashed this thing. This is now, what, the 8th Spider-Man movie.
Right.
Is it the 8th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 6th.
Yeah.
6th incarnation of Spider-Man on film. We don't need to see
Another.
Uncle Ben croak again. You know, we've seen it. We've seen him get bit by the spider. This is the movie, I don't know if you agree, this is the movie like that you wanted to see immediately after Civil War. When Captain America 3 came out, Captain America and Civil War, everybody walking out of that theater, nobody was talking about the Infinity War. They were all saying, man, I can't wait for that next Spider-Man movie. And there was just this, there was a fear that it's gonna suck. I mean, how could it suck? It was set up so perfectly in Civil War. But this is the movie that we wanted. This is the movie that when you walked out of Civil War and you could have walked right into Spider-Man, you would have, and you would have gotten this film and it would have been mind-blowing. They nailed it. It was perfect.
And I think the way that they dealt with some of the things, you know, just in like the telling of him becoming Spider-Man, like you said, it's not an origin story, but it's a fresh take. I mean, here you have Peter Parker, and you got his friend, who is like Ned. And instead of showing us the origin, you have his friend realizing that he's Spider-Man and him being excited. Dude, what happened?
Exactly.
Did you get bitten? Do you lay eggs? Do you do, you know?
Can you control an army of spiders?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Ant-Man nod right there.
Totally awesome. It's like, it's a great fresh take on telling something without showing us something we've seen all the time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That was another one of my favorite parts of this film, is his friend Ned. They acted exactly like a high schooler would act. You know, if you find out that your friend is a superhero, it's gonna be on Facebook in 2 seconds.
Right, we're like, we gotta take advantage of this.
Yeah, and he didn't go to the cops, he didn't go to Aunt May, but he could not save himself from just blurting it out in the middle of gym class. And that's how all high school kids would be. That's how a lot of adults would be these days. So that was great. The whole high school thing was great. The Captain America videos that they showed were great. Hannibal Buress as the gym teacher and the detention. He taught gym and he did the detention thing. He was fantastic. He was hilarious. He's addressing all the kids in detention. He's like, okay, we're gonna watch this Captain America video. I think he's a war criminal now. And that was funny. I mean, there's so many hilarious little jokes throughout it. The Captain America videos were funny. I don't know, what was your favorite, if you had to pinpoint a favorite part of the film, a favorite scene?
I think
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, it is really hard. I feel like towards the end of the movie, you know, I always call it the money shot. There's always like that one scene that you know, they draw it out, they see it, you know, visualize it, it's storyboarded, and it's like it becomes like a main focal point of the movie. And you know, towards the end of the movie where Spider-Man's fighting the Vulture.
Yeah.
And he's beat up, he's torn. You know, at the same time, I'm watching this and I'm seeing kind of like a young Tobey Maguire. That's what was really cool about this movie, is that they really picked an actor that almost like meshed very well with the look. And I kept seeing like this epic, it was very epic looking, and he's beat up and the Vulture comes down and just picks him up with his wing. And he's just like beat.
This is like on the beach scene, the very end of the movie?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he's like holding him. And he's just like beat down, defeated, and that whole panoramic view of that shot was just amazing.
When they're out at Coney Island?
Yes.
Yeah, that was sick.
I mean, it was just, yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, and you could see that Peter was defeated. He felt just so wiped out. And that's one of, you know, that's, my hat's off to Marvel for casting Mr. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Perfect casting. Another fantastic thing that you've never really seen in the other Spider-Man movies that I picked up on immediately while watching it was when you're watching the movie, Spider-Man, because you know he's a kid. He looks like a kid. He acts like a kid. This is all new to him. But he's panicking the entire movie. The entire movie, he's just like, oh God, I don't know what to do. Like, start to finish. He's never done this before. And that's something that the other Spider-Man movies, I think, were kind of lacking. You know, as soon as they would put on the spider suit, they were confident.
They were like...
Yeah, they were like, they're telling out jokes and they're just kicking ass. This Spider-Man is like panicking every time he gets into the shit, he's freaking out. Like when he's climbing up the Washington Monument, he's like about to have a heart attack. He's like, I can't believe I'm doing this, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that's like every single fight. And then he gets to the very top and he looks down and the voice in his suit says, you know, you have no more parachute. A fall from this height will definitely be fatal.
You know, and there was that other scene where he was, I believe, he was calling Happy, I think. He was on the building, he had the mask up. I think he was eating something.
Oh, I love that part.
Great part.
That's never been done before when he had the mask up and he's like eating. That's such a classic Spider-Man image. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of the same thing. He's sitting up there, he's got the thing, and I think he dropped something. Something happens where he like, is it his phone? I don't know what it was.
Remember.
Something fell and he started freaking out again. And then next thing you know, he's like standing horizontal against the thing, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
cool.
He's discovering his powers the whole time. That was awesome. That was awesome. That whole, because I totally forgot about that scene when he's sitting on the fire escape, eating a churro. Churro. Some old lady. Because at the beginning of the movie, he's just rescuing cats out of trees, and he's like doing everything he can to prove himself. He's solving. No, he's not solving, but he's fighting crime from bike thefts to bank robberies. And every time he does it, he's calling up Happy. Happy, by the way, fantastic part of this film. Happy Hogan, you remember, it was Jon Favreau from the Iron Man movies, from the was he in an Avengers movie? I can't remember.
I think so. He had a smart.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was, every time Peter would save a cat out of a tree, he'd call up Happy. Okay, I'm gonna give you the daily log of all my crime log for the day, and Happy's just ignoring all of his calls. That was great, man. Jon Favreau, smart man for writing yourself a part in what is kind of your universe.
Yeah,
you birthed
kind of helped
this whole thing. I mean, he wrote and directed Iron Man 1. I think he directed the second one, and then he stepped back for the third one, which is pretty obvious, and you go back and watch him.
Although he was still in it.
Yeah, his character.
Which was cool.
So good for you for writing yourself in. Let's get into the characters. Let's talk about the characters for just a second. Obviously, Tom Holland as Spider-Man was fantastic. So good. Go ahead.
I will say that now I agree, but before I saw the movie, I wasn't sure. Yeah. I saw him and it seemed
Tom Holland?
Yeah, Tom Holland. I wasn't really sold on it.
Really?
And I was like, I thought he was going to do a good job.
Was it the VMA performance that freaked you out?
No, that was awesome.
The song and dance?
that was actually awesome. Actually, that helped sell me even more because it's just very confident.
Yeah.
And then after the movie, it's just
Yeah.
he really embodied what a young Spider-Man that's learning about himself and becoming a hero.
Yeah.
He wasn't instantly a hero. He was just thrown into this
Yeah.
and is discovering it. It's,
Yeah. Fixing little tiny, solving little tiny crimes around his neighborhood. And that's the other cool thing. It's like the fact that it was so kind of centralized, it was so localized. You didn't see Spider-Man, fighting in the space or anything. He's just fighting in his own little neighborhood.
Street level hero.
Yeah, it wasn't even like he didn't even go into Manhattan. I don't think the entire movie. It was just him in his 5-block neighborhood of Queens, catching bike thieves and shit like that. And so, anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Well, and cinematically, I feel like he fit the look of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
It was hard to see it at first, but when you really saw the movie, you could see it. There was so much of like Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I kept seeing Tobey Maguire in there. Like
but only a young Tobey Maguire, not a 45-year-old.
Not a 45-year-old. Yeah, I really saw like what he should have been the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. And he was this nervous little anxious kid when he wasn't in the suit. But yet he was a kind of a wisecracking, fun little nervous superhero when he was in the suit, and his voice was perfect. Speaking of voices, the voice for the suit lady, Jennifer Connelly.
Awesome.
What a fantastic nod, Jennifer Connelly. I wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't seen it in the closing credits, but Jennifer Connelly coming back from the Hulk movie. We haven't seen her since the Hulk movie. Obviously, they're two unrelated universes, but that was pretty cool. That's bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Vulture.
Yes.
The Vulture, played by Michael Keaton. Crushed it. Like, I can't imagine a better person to play this role. Michael Keaton, this is his third winged creature that he's played. And we're running out of winged creatures for this guy to play. I mean, he did Batman, he did Birdman, now he's doing the Vulture. He's gonna be the next.
He's gonna be in the
Falcon.
freaking Eagle Man commercials for Chicago.
Hawkman. See, I don't know that. What are you talking about? I don't know Eagle Man.
Oh, you gotta watch those.
Damn it, man. Is that like some old Chicago?
Yeah,
commercial?
old Chicago auto insurance commercials.
Yeah. But he was great, and so I think Marvel finally broke the curse of not doing amazing villains in their movies. A lot of people, that's been a major complaint from movie fans, from Marvel movie fans, is that the villains have been not perfectly written, not very well brought to the screen. Ronan the Accuser, who I loved, and I loved everything about Guardians of the Galaxy, but a lot of people complained about it. This time they got it right. And they got it right because they gave you a quick origin and they cast it perfectly.
Yes.
I can't imagine anybody else who could have done a better job than Michael Keaton as the Vulture. And holy shit, let's talk about the Vulture real quick. One of my fifth now favorite part of the movie is, big spoiler, the homecoming dance.
Oh.
When he picks up when Peter comes to pick up his date for the homecoming dance, and who opens the door but Michael Keaton, the Vulture. Adrian Toomes answers the door, and it's like the whole theater went
just mouth drop.
It was awesome. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole
It will probably go down as one of the biggest movie scenes in superhero history. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was incredible. And the scene that followed that immediately, when they're in the car.
Dark.
That car scene is gonna live on forever in the pantheon of great Marvel movie moments. When they're all three sitting in there, and it's close-ups. You got the Vulture in the front seat, Peter Parker in the back seat with his date, who is the Vulture's daughter, and he starts questioning him. He starts questioning about Washington, D.C. and the Washington Monument scene, which we haven't talked that much about, but we probably should. And you can just see him working, you can see the wheels spinning in his head. And it's all shot like this. Yeah, it's all like super close up.
It's all facial expressions. That whole scene is built off of great acting and great facial control because it was all in the face. You could see the muscles moving. You could see him thinking. You could feel the whole thing right there. It was deep.
Yeah.
That was some good stuff.
That was incredible. And then at the very end of the scene, when he finally figures it out, because they're sitting at a stoplight and everything's red. Because you're at the stoplight. And the moment he figures it out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, the light turns green. And it's like such a cool thing
Yeah, I
to
mean,
put in that scene. It's like everything goes from red to green, and he goes like, huh. You know, he figures it out right there. And that was incredible. And then they get to the homecoming dance, and he's like, you know what, sweetheart, why don't you go inside? I'm going to have, you know, one of those father-son conversations. Or father, you know, man-to-man conversations with your date. And you know it's on. He's going to lay into him, and he does. He pulls out a gun from the glove compartment, and he's like, you know, I'm going to stop messing with my operations, or I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill everybody you love. Oh, that was so incredible. And then Peter runs out of the dance, and there's another incredible scene where outside in the parking lot, the Shocker is waiting for him. The Shocker's in the movie, and the Shocker was really cool. He's waiting for him outside the dance. And they get in a major fight, and he loses his web shooters, and they get in this nasty, gnarly fight, and then you see the web shooters shoot the Shocker like from across the parking lot. The camera pans over, and it's his buddy Ned. Picked up the web shooter. Ned is Spider-Man for like a second, and it was awesome.
Oh,
There's a lot of Ned in this movie. This was the Ned movie.
yeah.
It should have been called Spider-Man Homecoming with Ned. A lot of Ned. Ned crushed it. He killed it. Donald Glover. I want to keep on going through some of my favorite characters in the movie. Donald Glover, kind of, if you're unfamiliar with who he was in the film, I understand. Because it was such a small character, and you kind of wonder, you got this amazing actor, the super famous actor who's going to play Lando Calrissian in the next Star Wars film, and he was so underused. But that was cool, because if you don't know, Donald Glover was playing Uncle Aaron Davis, who, he's the Prowler, but that is Miles Morales' uncle, is what I'm trying to say. Did you know that when you went in?
I didn't. I wasn't really sure, and I you know, there was a lot of rumors going around that he was somehow either related or Miles Morales.
Miles himself.
Yeah, and so, you know, now knowing,
Yeah.
that's awesome, because it really helps build in that aspect of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you didn't really see it all, but he was there.
Yeah.
He's trying to get the guns.
To get him off the street.
To get him, yeah.
You know, you see him, you think he's a bad guy because he's buying up all these weapons from Toombs and the Shocker and that whole crew. And you think, okay, this is a bad dude, but then he talks to Peter later on, and he's like, you know what, I got a nephew in this town. He's got a nephew, that's Miles Morales, that's freaking awesome. And I just want to get these guns off the street. So bam, you know he's a good guy. Every scene that he was in was great. He was only in like 2 scenes, maybe 3. But he crushed him. He was great in them. So if you don't know who the Prowler is, he's the guy who broke into Oscorp to steal a bunch of shit out of his vault, and a radioactive spider climbs into his bag. He brings it home, unbeknownst to him or anybody else. And then Miles comes over, the spider comes out, bites Miles. So he's kind of the cause of the origin of the next Spider-Man, which I hope we get to eventually.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's who, in case you're wondering why Donald Glover had 2 scenes in this movie, they're leading to something. They're leading to something big. And he was great.
I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to go back to the Vulture.
I'm rambling.
Because I think with the Vulture, and like you said, you know, a lot of people, and including me, I've complained a lot about the villains in movies. And I feel like the Vulture, even like the character himself not being the Vulture, the character development that they allowed for his character in conjunction with the caliber of actor that he is, really gave us an amazing villain. I mean, they really built it up. They gave him a reason to be who he was. We liked him.
Yeah.
They made us as the viewer like his character and be emotionally attached
right
to
from
him.
the start. And you understood why he was pissed. I mean, right from the beginning, he lost. You know, he had his whole career, his whole job, his livelihood stripped from him in the first 5 seconds of the film.
Right.
So you're emotionally invested in this guy.
Yes. And he just keeps
off to the movie makers for letting you know, just creating a character that you can so relate to. You know, you kind of see why he's a bad dude.
Yeah, I mean, he and a lot of the things that he does is just to be able to keep doing what he's doing to support his family.
Yeah.
He's doing what he's doing. I mean, obviously he's making a lot more money than he was making before, but he's doing what he's doing for his family
Yeah.
to support them. He wants to, his daughter to never want for anything.
It's not global domination he's going for. He's not trying to be a part of some giant evil empire. He's just
Giving it to the
trying
man
to make
and
money.
supporting the family.
Yeah, he's trying to make money to protect his family. He's not robbing banks. He's just selling guns from a bunch of Chitauri technology that was just going to go into a landfill or go into some vault. Anyway, speaking of vaults, another fantastic scene in the movie when Peter goes and he locks himself into the Stark vault or a Shield vault, a vault where they're holding all the shit. That was fantastic. He locks himself in there, and the whole scene is him talking to the lady voice in his kick-ass Tony Stark spider suit. There's more to talk about than we can. We could talk for 2 hours about this film, and he and I already have over the course of a week. But that was a great scene. And he's stuck in there, and the whole scene is him just talking to the lady in the suit. You get to know the voice of the suit, Jennifer Connelly, and so it's like this 10-minute scene. This like montage, and then you get to the very end of the scene. He's like, how long have I been in here? You're thinking he's gonna say like 8 hours. You're like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We've been here for 15 minutes. He's like, oh Jesus, I gotta get out of here. No. One of 1,000 fantastic scenes in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like Happy was fantastic with Jon Favreau, Aunt May. What do you think about Aunt May?
I think Aunt May was cool. She was fun.
Yeah.
I'm
not digging the Aunt May.
They didn't really give her much. In terms of characters, there was not much to really care about.
Yeah, I think because once you get rid of the whole Ben Parker, Uncle Ben aspect of the movie, you kind of gotta throw the baby out with the bathwater. You lose Aunt May when you lose Uncle Ben, sort of, and that's fine.
Yeah,
it's weird seeing a young Aunt May though.
Yeah, I mean she's young, but character-wise, so they got rid of Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So they stopped. I mean, the whole emotional part of her character was just gone.
Yeah.
It was written in as just a happy aunt who's taking care of her nephew.
Yeah.
She wasn't sad. She doesn't have to be sad. I mean, it's okay to move on, but there was nothing there. She was just a happy aunt.
You never got that, like, I'm an aunt who just lost her husband
right
aspect. And that's fine. I mean, it's not a complaint, but it takes a little getting used to having a young... They made the most of it, though. They wrote... Everybody's hitting on Aunt May for the whole film. Like, the waiter's hitting on Aunt May. Tony Stark's hitting on Aunt May. Everybody that meets Aunt May is hitting on Aunt May. So they had fun with the fact that they have a young Aunt May. And so it worked. I'd rather have an old Aunt May. It kind of helps with that whole young Peter Parker. I don't know. Something about having an old lady raising you screams Spider-Man, but it doesn't ruin the film at all. I mean, and Marissa Tomei does a great job. One of my other favorite parts of the whole movie was the last shot.
Oh.
When Tony Stark gives him his Tony Stark suit back, and the very last part of the entire film, before the credits roll, he puts on the suit and Aunt May walks in and says, "What the?" And then the credits roll. So Aunt May now knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man. That was a fantastic way to end the film.
Oh.
Crushed it. That was hilarious. The movie was it never missed a beat. And it didn't repeat the beats of the movies before it. Like, when Andrew Garfield took up the webs and they did that, it repeated a lot of the beats from the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And people are kind of tired of it. This one didn't repeat a single beat. There's nothing in this film that you're like, okay, I've seen this before. Because he doesn't have the organic web shooters. He's got the mechanical web shooters.
Which is okay.
Which I love. I prefer mechanical web shooters because it shows that Peter Parker, it gives him that extra skill. It shows that he can create stuff.
And it also gives him a crutch.
Right. He can run out of fluid.
He can bust his... It gives him something to...
Good point.
It makes him more of a hero.
And it's one more thing to watch out for.
Right.
Like when he's at the top of the Washington Monument, you're like, you already used your parachute. He's like, oh, fuck, I better not fall. Same thing can happen with your web shooters. It did happen to the web shooters. He lost them. And his buddy Ned picked him up and fought the good fight with him.
Okay, question.
Okay.
Web shooters. Great idea. Great to keep it with the original comics, because that's what it was. In the comics, he had web shooters. It wasn't until, I forgot what series, that they mutated.
Were organic and part of them.
In the movie, how do you feel about Tony Stark giving him. I mean, it's one thing to give him the suit, but he gave him the AI system that controlled his web shooting for him. I mean, as we know as a character, he did a lot. He was very smart,
Right.
is very smart, and creates all this stuff for himself. In this movie, it was given
It's
to
kind
him.
of given to him. Yeah.
and he's given all these like 500 options for
it
different
did
web
take,
shooting.
you know, I thought about that. It did kind of take away from it just a tad. They did show him making the fluid, so that kind of helps a little bit. Tony Stark didn't make the fluid for him, but that kind of took it away a tad. But it was okay because they made it funny. You know, they were able, it allowed them to make all kinds of fun jokes and do some really cool scenes. I agree with you, it's a little cooler when, you know, Pete makes the web shooters himself. But then that's kind of cool. They went back. When Tony Stark took his suit away, he was forced to go back to his homemade, and it showed that he did make homemade web shooters.
Right.
So, yeah, but those were also some of the funniest parts in the film when the suit keeps going to kill mode and the eyes go from big bright white to just tiny red lasers. It's like, okay, let's kill some people. Like the suit says that, and you're like, what? No, I don't want to kill anybody. For like 3 times in the film, the suit tries to switch to kill mode, and the eyes go from big bright white eyes to these sharp red lasers. So it allowed them to play more with the character and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it. I'm going to say yes. I'm down with the Tony Stark suit. I'm down with him being given an upgrade. Because they did, later in the movie, he did have to go back to his own homemade web shooters.
For a large portion of the movie. I mean, he had
For
to
a
go
lot of
back
the
and
movie.
be himself.
He lost his Stark suit halfway through the film.
Right.
Speaking of Stark suits, getting towards the end of the film, what'd you think? The big reveal at the end of the movie.
I'm glad he didn't take it.
The Iron Spider suit, in case you're wondering what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
The end of the movie, Tony Stark takes him to the new Avengers headquarters, which was awesome. And he's like, okay, well, he's gonna make him an Avenger. He's officially, after all of his kick-ass journey with the Vulture, he's gonna make him an Avenger in front of an entire room of press, or so he says.
Yeah.
And he says, this will be your new suit. And go.
And there he goes. He looks at it. He loves it. The suit is amazing, by the way.
Suit's dope as hell. We're gonna see that suit again.
Yeah. But as a hero, to be the hero that Spider-Man is, he had to walk away.
Yeah.
He had to.
He's like, you know what? I'm gonna be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for a while.
Which is completely okay with me. But the suit. I love the suit.
Suit was dope.
I do wish that the tentacles,
The extra arms.
the arms,
Yeah.
had at least were shown at
I
least
was
a
waiting
little
for
bit.
it. I was waiting for him to pop.
The whole time I was like,
So it's like, okay,
Like,
that's the spider. That's the Iron
on.
Spider suit. Let's see some extra legs.
and despite the excitement, which I was very excited for, that was the one thing I was left hanging,
Yeah.
waiting to see that, and it never
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. That was a great ending because, you know, Peter was able to say, you know what? No, I'm going to go home, keep my feet on the ground, go back to Queens. I'm not ready to be an Avenger just yet. Because the whole movie, it's him trying to be an Avenger, telling his friend Ned, oh yeah, I'm an Avenger. Like he wants to be an Avenger until he goes through this whole ordeal of this whole movie, and then he gets to the end, and his final, what he learned was that, you know what, I'm not quite ready to be an Avenger. I want to be my own neighborhood Spider-Man, which was killer. But we are going to see that suit again, I guarantee you. That suit's
Yeah.
showing up in Infinity War, I swear.
They're totally
That's going to be
opening
his
it up
space
for
suit.
us.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to see it. That's going to be his suit when they finally go to space to fight Thanos. He's going to be donning that kick-ass, shiny metal suit.
It's probably going to receive the same kind of cheer that the Avengers in the movie The Avengers, when Iron Man shows up to fight to capture Loki.
Mhm.
And I don't know if your theater was like this, but when the music started playing and he flew down and landed,
Yeah.
the entire theater was cheering. I think we're gonna get the same thing when Spider-Man shows up,
God, yeah.
and he just like lands with.
I can't wait for Spider-Man to show up in Infinity War.
Ah.
He's like the best thing Marvel's got going, and they got a lot going for him. So it was a hilarious movie. The very last thing we're gonna talk about, I think, unless we keep going, post-credit sequences. What'd you think of the prison post-credit sequence?
I thought it was interesting.
Well, hold on. What were you expecting a post-credit sequence? Like, was there anything you were hoping to see in the
I wanted to see some more connection to to the
Future
Marvel
movies?
universe
Yeah.
versus just Spider-Man. But you know, because it's so far away.
Mhm.
You know,
The next Spider-Man.
Yeah, like I was looking for like something that's coming up soon.
Right, because you're not going to see the Vulture in Infinity War.
Right.
I don't think.
So I mean, I wasn't disappointed. I was expecting something else. But
Because Thor's right around the corner, maybe a
yeah, like just
random
some
Thor.
sort of connection to Spider-Man. Just keep adding the webs. But the scene alone, I mean, that opened it up for more characters. I mean,
Yeah.
here we go.
He's in prison with other criminals. You know what? All right. I thought about this on the train ride over here. And you know what would have just made fecal matter fall out of everybody's pants at the end of that movie? If he's walking through, if Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, is walking through prison, and who comes walking towards him but Vincent D'Onofrio, the Kingpin, starts walking up to him, and then bam, you have united the clans.
Man,
That would have just been like, ah! Everybody would have freaked out if the Kingpin would have walked up to the Vulture in prison and said, all right, tell me more about this Spider-Man guy.
that's...
Oh, that would have killed.
I have thought about the same thing because I want them to connect.
At least with that one character.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a big part of...
Yeah, and he's a major movie star. It's like, I can understand why The Flash doesn't, you know, you don't transfer over the actors from TV to movie in the same way with Daredevil and stuff. These aren't major movie stars, but you got a major movie star, one of the greatest character actors of our age, on Netflix.
Right.
He needs to make the jump to the movies. Because you know, the Netflix shows, they do make nods to what's going on in the cinematic universe all the time. They don't really show anything, but they talk about it. The big New York war and stuff. There's no reason why Kingpin can't make the jump. It's D'Onofrio, man. He's an Academy Award winning actor,
big
I think.
time. Not only that, the character alone, it's like saying he's like the Thanos of
He is.
that street level universe.
Street level, he's the Kingpin.
yeah.
He's the strongest and most evil motherfucker out there.
He gets these people together to do bad things, and he should be there.
Yeah.
He should be a part of that universe.
Yeah, he should. And hopefully he will. That would have been the perfect opportunity for it, though. Vulture's walking through the prison gangway, and right now, according to the Daredevil movie, I mean, Kingpin's in prison. What a fantastic opportunity that was, and I think it was totally missed. But, so there was that post-credit sequence. Kingpin was not in it. But then at the very end, if you stuck around past all the actual long credits, which was a long credit sequence, there's a lot of credits, you get to the final post-credit sequence, which was Captain America. And it's because Captain America was in these like high school videos, these
Instructional
videos throughout the whole film, and they were hilarious. And you get to the very, very end, and it's Captain America sitting there in an instructional video, doing an instructional video on patience, which was funny as hell.
And of course, he's wearing the old uniform.
He's wearing the old spandex uniform. Ah, that was too funny. What you got?
Do we say who was in the jail scene?
Sure.
Do we want to say who was in the jail
Spoilers
scene?
galore.
All right. Walks into jail. Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Got the tattoo.
He's got a little scorpion tattoo. He actually had his arm it was healing from an injury he had, and maybe this is nothing, but I noticed it. It was full of little pins, and it kind of had a robotic kind of quality to it. He didn't have a big prehensile tail coming out of him, but I don't know.
But it's coming because clearly that's what they're alluding to.
And it's awesome that Vulture didn't give up Peter, because Peter saved his life at the end of the movie. Now, was he not giving up Peter because he saved him and his family's life, or was he not giving up Peter because he wants him for himself and he doesn't want anybody else to go kill him?
You know, I think that's a good point that you're bringing up, and I think that with the whole character development of the Vulture, it makes sense that he didn't give him up, because he's not evil for the sake of evil. He's not crazy.
Yeah.
He's a guy that was like, you know, pushed to the limits and forced to do things in order to survive. Peter Parker has nothing to do with that. He has no reason to give him up.
Yeah.
he was a good guy. He was
hated
doing
him
bad things.
because he was fucking with his business, but that's all. He didn't hate him as a person. He probably actually would have liked him as a person.
Right. So, good for him for not...
That was good. I really like that he didn't give up Peter's secret identity, or Spider-Man's secret identity. That was great. What a great ending. What a great movie. We didn't even talk about a lot of my favorite parts of this film, so go see the movie.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Okay, one last final thing. Any thoughts on where they go from here? What do you hope to see, expect to see in Spider-Man 2 and 3 and Infinity War? That's all. That's a big question.
That's a loaded question.
Lot. That's a whole other half hour.
I don't know what I want out of it. What I want is to see what happens in Infinity, because that's where he will most likely be more of a hero than he was in this movie.
Yeah.
In terms of developed hero.
Spider-Man.
And then who knows what's going to happen? I mean, what's going to happen in that movie that's going to affect his future in his movies?
So who do you want to see in Spider-Man 2?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's hard. I mean, they've already introduced so many. You know,
they could reintroduce. I mean, they could
reintroduce, but
I think I'm done with the Green Goblin. I'm kind of okay not seeing Doc Ock, but Kraven the Hunter.
That would be okay. Yes,
that'd be pretty sick.
That would be my top choice.
Maybe Mysterio in the house.
Maybe in the third one.
I think the third one needs to be the Sinister Six. I say you introduce a character or two.
In each one.
Don't bring back the Vulture yet. Keep the Vulture in prison. Maybe even keep Scorpion in prison. I don't know. I don't know. But I think the third one should be the Sinister Six. It should be Spider-Man versus his rogues gallery of villains. I don't know. This is years and years and years in advance. And by then, Tom Holland will be like 35, and he won't be the cute little Tom Holland that everybody loves right now. So
we'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. We're gonna wrap it up. Chuckload of Comics. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have a comment, if you've made it this far into this video, which you probably haven't, send us an email. chuckloadofcomics@gmail.com. Tony, thanks for having us over to your house.
Thank you.
Send us an email and tell us how much you like this guy right here, Tony Medina. You killed it, crushed it. So, more with Tony in the future episodes. Tony's got some kick-ass toys that I'm going to play with in just about a second now. Little Spider-Man man. And so anyway, thanks for watching. Tune in next week for more awesome comic book stuff. Bye now. Hey guys, thanks for watching. We got a lot of other good shows on the YouTube channel, so check them out. We got like that one and that one. Lots of good stuff. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button for more episodes every single week. See you later.